Hey guys, Lex here with another Dark and Darker video. This time I'm jumping into the Goblin caves with a Slayer build of sorts. Honestly, this is just a handful of stuff I found in another Goblin caves run. A decent pair of pants, and I found a short sword for the Slayer build. Honestly, would prefer a lantern, but couldn't find one, so was just going to jump in with what I got. But this is going to be a bit more of a hybrid video because I wanted to spend some time talking about the most recent patch. I know it's a bit of a hot topic, but I have some thoughts on it, more on the macro level. Like, you can get into the weeds of like the various stat rolls and how that's going to create a gear gap, and how 1 to 2 tapping people from a range as a ranger is back, and even barbs like smashing people in the head with like one swing, with all the different like weapon and stat rolls you can get now. But I just wanted to go over the part that confuses me the most, because I'm still playing the game and I'm still loving it. But there is some strange decision making on Ironmace's end here that just doesn't add up in my head. And I wanted some gameplay in the background to keep things a little more exciting. This was a pretty damn good Slayer run, so I figured I'd have this as my background footage as I talked about the most recent hotfix. So let's get into it. So yeah, right off the bat, since I'm not doing too much in the beginning here, just looting, let's just go through the patch notes real quick and we'll get to the part that bothers me. It's unsurprising because it's the thing that's bothering pretty much everybody right now. But yeah, I mean, this whole section here, I think is overall good. This strikes me as kind of like small adjustments and bug fixes, like tweaking the knobs, so to speak. They've said that that's what they're going to be doing, and this section feels like that to me, even though this is mostly just like bug fixes and fixing oversights. Fixed the rollback issue where players would revert to a previous state when exiting a dungeon. Yeah, some people were taking portals and just not escaping with their loot. It's like the run never happened. So I'm glad they were able to fix that. Fix the occultist boots movement speed. I think they had accidentally given them double the value that they were supposed to have. So again, that's just a fair fix there. Fix an issue where Curse of Pain's instant damage would not occur with the... would not occur when the Warlock uses Curse Mastery. Yep, that was clearly a bug. Glad that's fixed also. Fix an issue where the Power of Sacrifice could not deal damage when the Warlock uses Curse Mastery. Again, another good bug fix. Lantern/torch additional movement speed has been adjusted to 0. I guess the speed bonus was a little crazy with some classes, though. It didn't strike me as too wild. I kind of miss it already. I liked the flavor of, holding a torch or a light source out in front of you and being able to step more confidently through the dungeon. So, it made sense to me in my head, but I guess they, got rid of this. It was just too powerful in their eyes. I'm okay with it, as long as they don't reduce movement speed, which is, yeah, I don't think that makes any sense. Lanterns can now appear with random modifiers at the higher rarities. Wow, sorry. So that's pretty good. I mean, they can roll like different stats like strength and plus damage, etc. So this is actually pretty good for a couple classes. I obviously play a lot of fighters, so this is going to be interesting to test out with Slayer Fighter, which is starting to grow on me if you couldn't tell from this video. Damage for all daggers has been slightly increased. Obviously another good change. Rogue's trap Rogue's trap detection range has been increased from 400 to 450, sure. Rogue's jokester range has been increased from 350 to 450, sure. That's good. Ambush physical damage bonus changed back from 30% to 50%. I think that's a pretty good change, honestly, because when I saw rogues in the dungeon ever since the nerf, I would just kind of smirk and go, oh man, free food. I didn't fear them at all. And, rogues, they were clearly overpowered with the 1 to 2 tap headshots with a dagger. That was kind of ridiculous, but they were definitely over nerfed. They just didn't feel like a threat anymore. So I'm glad that they're kind of giving our rogue players some love here. Weak point attack armor rating has been changed from 25% to 30% and increased duration by 1 second. Yeah, sure, slight buff. I mean, not going to be a massive difference, but why not? Rangers get a slight buff, sure. I mean, do they really need it? Come on, I'm kidding. Bard's Warsong range has been increased from 350 to 450, sure. More Bard buffs. I think they might need a little more love than this. I think Bards are currently not a great place, but we'll see what happens. Jack-o'-lantern has returned, sure, that's great. Gonna have some crazy items and some fun seasonal currency to spend there for some good stuff. Regular merchants no longer sell epic items. I guess that's fair. It did feel a little too accessible. I'll miss it slightly, but I could see why they would revert this. It did feel like a little easy, kind of just waiting for the best rolled items to just appear at the merchant. It's kind of nice having that access, but I off the cuff, I feel okay with this, with this reversion. Reversion, is that a word? I'm not sure, but there it is. Alright, here's the big one. The random modifier properties that appear on the colored rarity items have been reverted to give the much larger value range and larger variety, including the plus all attributes from before the previous patch. This means that checking the rolls for your items means just as much or more than just the color grade of the item. Yeah, that's a big one. We're going to spend the majority of the rest of this talking about this particular thing. So let me just go through the next two real quick. Sub-bosses and special chests such as Lionhead, Golden Chest, Marvelous, and Royal Coffins will always give colored grade loot now. I mean, that's nice. Good little buff. Soul Reaper name changed to Soul Scraper. Amazing change. Amazing. Very impactful. What's missing from patch number 1, the volume of footsteps that occur when walking crouch has been slightly reduced. Honestly, nice. I like that more classes can kind of play quiet if you're just crouched and walking. Barbarian's Iron Will now ignores knockback. That's a pretty good buff. Barbarians are going to be wild, I feel like, coming up here soon. Just with what I've seen with the itemization and now this little buff here, like they're like anti-magic melee tanks, they're I'm a little scared, but we'll see how it plays out. Okay, so the big one here. Oops, the big one. Yeah, it's funny that they have these developer notes down here, and it's like they say right here, our plan is to slowly build up from this baseline with what we've observed and learned during EA to get to a sweet spot that players across a wide range of needs can enjoy the game. The operative phrase here being slowly build up. And they've mentioned before that they want to, tweak the knobs and turn the dials a little by little to kind of adjust and get more closer to a healthy balance for the game. I mean, reintroducing these insane stat rolls like +3 strength and the +4, +2 to all attributes. I think that's the maximum, but it's still a lot. But +4 weapon damage and the +3 of a damage stat, all kind of rolling on the same item. That is not turning the dials. This is reintroducing some insane like gear gap nonsense from an era that people enjoyed the game less. The last few days I've honestly felt great. I don't know why they say they're going to turn the dials gradually and then re-implement this massive change in a hotfix. This is huge. This is not turning the dials gradually. This is like slamming the big red button and going nuclear. It's wild to me that they would say they're doing things gradually and then just throw this back into the mix. This is not something small. This is huge. I know, we'll have to see how this plays out with the different armor values and such, the new itemization, but we've seen how these stats play out in the past, and those new little stats on the armor and the new armor values aren't going to make a huge difference when these crazy stat rolls and combinations are back in the game. I honestly don't see how this is gradual, especially after the release of the first patch. That was only 3 days ago, right? I don't know how they could have gathered enough data or could have seen how things are playing out. There's no way they could have accurately seen the impact of the first patch in 2 or 3 days. They gave it no time before making such a huge swing like this. This is the part that's confusing to me. It's just saying they're going to do things gradually and then just throwing a huge change back into the game after such a short time without even seeing the last major change they threw into the game play out at all. It's a little too soon for something like this. I think one option they could pursue that would be awesome for, I think, everybody across the board and would be a little relieving is the ability to update legacy items or make it so that legacy items don't exist, And what I mean by that is if they deem these new stat combinations to be too powerful and they're like, yep, you guys were right, we're going to roll this back, you will no longer find items with these insane stat rolls and combinations. that doesn't get rid of the ones that are already found, and those are the legacy items, and people will just hoard those, and they're still in circulation, and then that will give those people an even bigger advantage, an unfair advantage, I'd say, than people who can, you know, who can't find those items anymore, which is going to be the majority. It's like, you guys got to be able to edit those legacy items. It's not great to just have those still in circulation when you make a change in the right direction. Just change everything across the board, you know? Again, I'm not like a developer, so I don't know how hard that is to implement. It might be difficult, but I think it would just still be the right move overall, considering how often and how drastically they appear to be changing things. I've also heard some talk about big streamers having an influence on Ironmace's decision making here, and I don't think I really buy that. A lot of people are kind of pointing fingers at Mendo. I don't know a ton about him, but I don't buy the opinion that Ironmace is catering to big streamers with this change. It just doesn't add up in my head, because they just seem to make decisions for better or worse, and a lot of times it's for the better. Most of the time it's for the better. This just appears to be perhaps potentially their biggest misstep. And they just respond to the feedback across the board, not just big streamers. They kind of take it all in from what we've seen. And they've definitely, you know, acknowledged their mistakes and have rolled things back where appropriate. And I imagine they'll do so here because, you know, the feedback has been pretty negative overall with the re-implementation of these modifiers. But again, we'll just have to see how it plays out. That's all we can really do. I still love the game, and I'm going to be playing it for better or worse. You know, and I trust that Ironmace will make the right decisions going down the line. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Till next time.